Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this exciting journey into the world of rare coins where unbelievable stories, hidden treasures and astonishing values come together. And today we are diving into one of the most unbelievable tales you'll ever hear. A story about a simple 2001 1-cent coin that supposedly reached an unbelievable value of $120 million because of its extraordinary and extremely unusual errors and mistakes, capturing the imagination of collectors everywhere and reminding us that sometimes the smallest, most ordinary-looking objects can hold the most astonishing secrets. So let's explore how a coin minted in a year most people barely pay attention to could ever become the centerpiece of such an incredible legend. A legend built on mystery, rare minting accidents and the kind of once-in-a-lifetime discoveries that make collectors' hearts race as we peel back the layers of minting chaos, rare misstrikes, odd die conditions and strange circumstances that supposedly came together to create a coin unlike any other produced in modern times. And as we move deeper into this story, you'll understand why collectors have spun such massive value around a 2001 cent that looks ordinary to the untrained eye yet hides features so unusual that only experts or extremely observant hobbyists can appreciate them fully. Starting with one of the most talked about errors associated with this legendary coin, the dramatic off-center strike that supposedly left nearly half the coin's design missing, yet with enough of the date and portrait preserved to confirm authenticity. Because off-center strikes happen in the minting world, but rarely do you find one where the details align in such a perfect way that the mistake itself becomes almost artistic, as though the coin froze in time while the machinery misfired. And the completeness of key features on this coin supposedly makes it not just rare but visually stunning and instantly recognizable. And collectors believe that this kind of off-center strike coupled with a perfectly legible date from the beginning of the millennium pushes the value into the stratosphere, since it becomes not just a mint error but a piece of history stamped with a unique misalignment that cannot be replicated. And then we move on to the second major error often discussed when this legendary 2001 cent comes up, the double die obverse error that supposedly caused Lincoln's features to appear doubled, almost as if he is shifting or fading in motion, with the doubling visible on the date, the motto, and even subtle lines of the portrait. Because double die errors always attract attention, but one that is crisp, dramatic, and paired with another major error becomes a dream scenario for collectors who are always searching for combinations of mistakes that elevate a coin from unusual to mythical. And in the case of this 2001 cent, that's exactly what enthusiasts claim makes the coin so valuable. The stacking of multiple mistakes that are individually rare but together almost unheard of in a modern minting process, especially during a year when quality control at the mint was considered relatively stable, making such a dramatic combination of errors even more unbelievable. And then we get to one of the most debated features of this story, the so-called mule error, a minting accident where the front of the coin is paired with the wrong reverse design, something that is extremely rare and has happened only a handful of times in United States minting history. And the rumors claim that this mythical 2001 cent was struck with a reverse meant for a different denomination entirely, which would immediately place it in a category of its own, because a true mule coin often becomes instantly priceless due to its rarity and the dramatic nature of the mistake. And when collectors imagine a 2001 penny somehow being struck with the wrong reverse, possibly from a dime or another coin, the excitement around such a piece skyrockets, especially since such a mistake would require a perfect storm of missteps inside the mint, ranging from mismatched dies to overlooked inspections to complete accidental pairings, all happening without immediate correction. And if such a coin did exist, even in theory, it would absolutely fuel the idea that its value could climb to unbelievable levels, because mule coins are considered once-in-a-century discoveries. And then there's a discussion about the astonishing surface anomalies the coin supposedly exhibits, like dramatic die cracks spreading across the fields and devices, creating pathways of raised metal that look like lightning strikes or branching roots. Because die cracks do appear in coins but rarely in patterns that are both dramatic and aesthetically compelling, and collectors often treat visually impressive die cracks like artwork sculpted by accident. So a coin that supposedly carries large, well-defined cracks along with other major errors becomes a treasure that feels destined to be talked about for generations. And in addition to that, Some versions of the story describe a rotated die error where the reverse design is misaligned from the obverse by a dramatic angle, sometimes claimed to be a full 180 degrees, which is so unusual that collectors immediately take notice because such a dramatic rotation suggests a moment of complete mechanical failure in the minting process, something that rarely escapes quality control. And so the idea that a coin would not only have survived production but eventually surfaced after years in circulation or hidden storage makes it feel like a relic of pure minting chaos. And then there's the metallurgical mystery surrounding the coin. As some storytellers claim, the planchet used for the legendary 2001 cent was not the standard copper-plated zinc composition, but instead appears to have been struck on the wrong planchet entirely, possibly meant for a foreign coin or another denomination. Which adds another layer of fascination because wrong planchet errors often command extremely high values due to their rarity and the difficulty of identifying them without professional testing. And when you combine a wrong planchet with multiple dramatic die or striking errors, the theoretical value skyrockets further because collectors love anomalies that affect both the physical structure and the visual design of a coin, turning it into a piece that challenges expectations and stands out even among the most impressive minting errors ever discovered. And all of this leads to the mythic number attached to this coin, the unbelievable $120 million valuation that people enjoy discussing because it captures the imagination and pushes the boundaries of what a tiny piece of metal could ever be worth. And while such a price is not realistic in the numismatic world, it represents the passion, excitement, and fascination collectors feel when discussing the most extreme, most dramatic, most unbelievably rare possibilities in the world of coins, and this mythical price point becomes a symbol of dreaming big, imagining the impossible and exploring the hidden potential of pocket change, because you never truly know what treasures might be hiding in plain sight, tucked into a jar, lost in a drawer, spent without thought or sitting unnoticed at the bottom of a piggy bank, and the story of this legendary 2001 cent keeps the spirit of curiosity alive as it reminds people that the world of coins is full of mysteries, surprises, and incredible stories waiting to be uncovered, inspiring collectors to look closely, to learn the signs of mint errors, to appreciate the tiny details that transform ordinary coins into extraordinary objects. And even though this $120 million valuation exists more in the realm of creative storytelling and community fascination, it does what great stories always do, capturing attention, inspiring exploration and fueling imaginations as people search their change in hopes of discovering that one impossible coin that changes everything. And that's why the legend continues to grow, because every collector, every enthusiast, and every curious viewer loves the idea that something so small, so ordinary and so familiar could hold the potential for such unimaginable value, turning a simple 2001 1-cent coin into one of the most talked about mythical treasures in modern coin collecting lore. Next, 1992 D1 cent USA coin. We dive into one of the most fascinating, unbelievable and mind-bending stories in the world of rare coins. A story that grabs attention the moment you hear it because today we are talking about the mysterious and almost mythical 1992 D1 cent coin that some collectors believe could reach a staggering value of around $125 million due to a combination of extraordinary errors, rare production quirks, unexpected minting anomalies, and the almost impossible odds of its survival, creating a perfect storm that turns an everyday Lincoln cent into a legendary treasure that sparks curiosity, excitement, and endless speculation. And as we explore this coin, we'll peel back the layers of rarity, the whispers of mistakes that slipped through undetected, the rare variations that have become the foundation of high-stakes bidding wars, and the possibilities that make this small copper-coated piece of metal worth more than luxury mansions, supercars, or even private jets, turning it into a cultural phenomenon for coin collectors, treasure hunters, and enthusiasts who love the thrill of discovering something extraordinary hiding in plain sight. When we talk about the 1992 D1 cent coin, the first thing that sends collectors into a frenzy is the possibility of a transitional design error, a rare and coveted type of mistake that happens when the mint begins introducing elements of the next year's design early, leading to coins that feature subtle but significant details not meant to appear until later. And for the 1992 D cent, The big point of discussion is the close AM reverse variety, something that is incredibly rare on a 1992 D. And instantly inflates value because it proves that a small number of coins were struck with reverse dies intended for 1993 production. But beyond this known rarity, some experts believe there may exist an even more dramatic and previously undocumented variation, including misaligned design elements, doubling on the lettering, incomplete die changes or hybrid dies that combine features from different stages of production, creating a 1 in a billion type of coin. One of the most fascinating aspects of this coin is the whispered possibility of a double error combination, where a transitional design error is paired with a dramatic die misalignment that causes slight offsets along the rim, making the coin stand out from standard strikes. And collectors believe that coins like this become instant legends because they represent mistakes that not only were never meant to leave the mint but should have been caught at multiple checkpoints, making their existence almost miraculous. Other experts theorize that some of these rare 1992 D cents might also exhibit a lightly struck motto or faintly doubled features on the date, Liberty, or the edges of the Lincoln Memorial columns, the kind of subtle but powerful mistakes that turn a coin into a numismatic masterpiece when combined with other layering errors that significantly boost value. Another fascinating possibility involves planchette errors, where the blank metal disc used before striking might have been improperly alloyed or imperfectly shaped, creating tiny imperfections that cause differences in color, texture, or thickness, and when combined with design anomalies, collectors treat such coins like the Holy Grail. A coin like this becomes more than currency. It becomes a direct physical record of a chaotic moment inside the mint, where rushed production schedules, worn-out dies, human oversight and unexpected machinery malfunctions converge to produce something rare and priceless. When we consider how a coin could reach a valuation of $125 million, we have to think about more than just the error itself. We must consider the psychology of ultra-rare collectibles, the competitive nature of elite collectors who want to own something no one else on the planet has, and the lore that surrounds coins with near-mythic status. The 1992 D1 cent, if found with multiple overlapping errors, could become the rarest known Lincoln cent of all time, surpassing the famous 1943 bronze penny and even the 1958 double die. And the reason collectors would fight over it is because rarity at this level is not just about owning a coin, it's about securing a piece of history that can never be replicated, a moment frozen in metal that represents the perfect storm of minting anomalies. There are also economic factors that push coins like this into mind-blowing price ranges, including the fact that the coin market is increasingly influenced by investors who treat ultra-rare coins as assets similar to art, buying them not only for their historical significance but as long-term financial investments. And when a coin is believed to be the only one of its kind or one of fewer than a handful in existence, bidding wars can escalate far beyond traditional numismatic expectations. The idea that this coin could reach $125 million becomes more reasonable when you consider that rarity, myth, narrative, and competition can inflate value dramatically, and if this specific coin demonstrates unique errors that cannot be found on any other known 1992 D cent, collectors would see it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that may never appear again. Some researchers speculate that the rarest examples of the 1992 D close AM error could also contain minute microdoubling on the reverse lettering or slight shifts in the designer initials, which, though nearly invisible to the naked eye, are extremely significant when layered onto an already super-rare variety, creating a multiplier effect that skyrockets the value. In addition to minting mistakes, there is the story element, the mystery of how such a coin managed to escape the mint undetected, the possibility that it was pocketed accidentally by a worker, released in circulation through a bagging oversight or slipped into a batch intended for testing, and this kind of narrative adds emotional weight and enhances the coin's allure, elevating its cultural significance beyond the metal itself. The idea that a regular person could unknowingly be carrying a coin worth $125 million in a drawer, jar, or wallet adds to the thrill and mystique, encouraging treasure hunters everywhere to check their loose change and old rolls in hopes of discovering one of these mythical specimens. The excitement around this type of coin is further fueled by the uncertain limits of what might exist. because the US Mint has had periods in history where detailed records were incomplete or where small runs of coins were struck in experimental conditions, leaving room for the possibility that more undocumented variations exist, and the 1992 D1 cent falls into a period where transitional changes were being made, opening the door to unexpected discoveries. Collectors imagine a version of the 1992 D cent that carries a unique die crack resembling a lightning bolt across the memorial, or a dramatic off-center strike combined with the close AM reverse, or a triple layer doubling that creates a ghost-like shadow behind the date and letters. And when you combine these theoretical possibilities with the rarity of surviving examples, you can understand why valuations soar into tens or even hundreds of millions. Even the condition of the coin plays a huge role, because if such an error coin were found in near perfect condition, with crisp details, glossy luster, and minimal wear, it would be treated like a national treasure, a pristine snapshot of a historic minting mistake preserved against all odds. Add to that the fact that many error coins from the early 1990s went unnoticed due to high circulation rates, meaning that high-grade survivors are exceptionally rare, making their discovery feel like finding buried treasure. Enthusiasts imagine the thrill of holding such a coin in their hands, studying the details, recognizing the anomalies and realizing they've just uncovered something that could change their life in a single moment. And this sense of possibility is what fuels the legend of the 1992 D1 cent with a potential value of $125 million. The story continues to grow as collectors debate what additional errors might exist, including rotated dies, reverse side ghost impressions, die polishing marks that cause missing elements, or even a hybrid error where the design of the memorial appears unusually distorted due to uneven pressure during striking. And each of these potential anomalies adds depth to the mystery and increases the perceived value. The coin becomes not just a collectible but a symbol of luck, rarity, and the unpredictable nature of minting history, a reminder that even the smallest item can hold immense value when it carries a perfect combination of mistakes, survival rarity, and storytelling power. So as you sit back and explore the world of rare coins with us, imagine discovering a 1992 D1 cent coin that defies all odds, a coin shaped by overlapping errors, minting quirks, and transitional anomalies, a coin that sparks excitement, inspires dreams, and captures the imagination of collectors everywhere. And it's easy to see why such a tiny piece of metal might one day find itself valued at an unbelievable $125 million, turning it into one of the most extraordinary and sought-after treasures in numismatic history. Last 2012 D1 cent USA coin. Today, as we dive into another unbelievable coin story that captures the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and anyone fascinated by the idea that something as small and ordinary as a 1-cent coin could turn out to be worth a fortune. And in this case we are talking about the 2012 D1 cent coin that some collectors speculate could reach an astronomical value of around $130 million under extremely rare, hypothetical circumstances due to a combination of unusual errors, mysterious production anomalies, and the small but thrilling possibility that this particular year and mint mark produced a handful of cents with characteristics so bizarre and so unexpected that they push the boundaries of what we normally expect from modern minting. And today's deep dive will take you through the imagined errors, the stories behind them, and the reasons why such a coin, under extraordinary and speculative conditions, could be considered priceless to the right collector. So settle in for a fascinating exploration of how tiny mistakes turn ordinary pennies into legendary rarities as we explore the strange world of minting mishaps that can transform a simple 2012 D cent into a multi-million-dollar treasure, beginning with the notion that the Denver Mint, known for its high speed, high-volume production, occasionally deals with mechanical disruptions, calibration issues, or planchette contamination events that could theoretically result in a handful of coins being struck under abnormal conditions. And in the case of the 2012 D cent, collectors love to imagine scenarios where the planchette might have been improperly mixed, leading to a coin with a hybrid or experimental composition, perhaps containing traces of metals not intended for circulation cents, such as leftover planchets intended for foreign contracts or even test alloys once used for anti-counterfeit research. and while no verified examples of such hybrid metal 2012 D cents have appeared, the mere possibility fuels collector speculation and drives stories of extreme values, because if even one such coin were verified, its uniqueness could push bidding into the tens of millions, especially if it displayed an unmistakable contrast in weight, color, or magnetic properties, amplifying the sense that this coin escaped the mint by pure accident. And then there's the category of double strike or triple strike errors that can dramatically impact value, and although modern quality control aims to prevent such flawed pieces from leaving the facility, the idea of a severely off-center double strike paired with a misaligned die clash on the reverse creates the type of catastrophic error that collectors dream of discovering, especially if Lincoln's profile is visibly distorted or duplicated, or if the Union shield on the reverse is layered with overlapping lines that create an eye-catching pattern, because such undeniable mint errors are always memorable and certain. Extreme examples have historically fetched huge prices at auctions, and the 2012 D cent, being from a year with massive production numbers, becomes even more intriguing because the larger the production run, the greater the chance, however tiny, that an overlooked error slipped through the system, and in the world of numismatics, that tiny possibility is what fuels excitement, discussion, and speculation about extraordinary values like the fictional 130 million figure that gets collectors buzzing. But the story gets even more interesting when you consider the possibility of a mule error, where the obverse of a 2012 D cent is struck with the reverse of a different denomination or even a design never meant for circulation. And although confirmed mule errors are extremely rare and usually tightly documented, enthusiasts like to imagine a scenario where a mismatched die pair was accidentally installed for a short batch of test strikes or during maintenance, producing a coin with Lincoln on the front and an incompatible reverse such as a dime's torch and olive branches or even a quarters depiction. And if such a coin surfaced, authenticated, and proven to be a genuine minting accident, its uniqueness could spark bidding wars that easily reach into the tens of millions because collectors understand they would be holding a one-of-a-kind historical anomaly, something that defies logic and challenges the boundaries of minting protocol. And then we consider die deterioration and die breaks, which often create dramatic effects such as massive die cracks running across the coin's surface, cuds forming thick blobs of metal near the rim, or shattered die patterns that leave spiderweb designs across the fields of the coin. And while many die cracks are common and not particularly valuable, a massive, unusual, visually stunning break on a 2012 D cent, especially one that dramatically reshapes Lincoln's portrait or disrupts the shield on the reverse, could bring significant premium value. And when you combine multiple errors, imagine a broad strike combined with an off-center strike plus a die crack, the coin becomes increasingly unusual, and the rarer and more visually extreme the error, the more collectors become willing to pay, which fuels this captivating speculation surrounding a multi-million-dollar price tag, even though such extreme combinations are almost always theoretical rather than documented. But imagination plays a powerful role in coin collecting, especially when considering the intense interest surrounding modern minting errors. And another intriguing possibility is the existence of misaligned or rotated dies causing the obverse and reverse to be drastically off alignment, creating a coin where Lincoln's portrait is oriented normally but the reverse shield is rotated 90 or even 180 degrees, which is highly unusual in modern coinage and extremely desirable when authenticated. And if such a coin showed additional surface anomalies like strike-through errors where foreign debris interfered with the strike, leaving imprints or voids, the combination of rare features could elevate its theoretical value even further, with collectors imagining what it would be like to uncover a coin that somehow escaped detection despite displaying multiple dramatic errors that should have flagged it for removal. And the narrative grows deeper when you consider that the Denver Mint occasionally hosts die polishing and die adjustment procedures during shifts, and if a die is improperly polished, over-polished, or accidentally abraded, details might disappear entirely from the coin, such as missing letters, missing numbers, weakened shield lines, or even partial disappearance of Lincoln's beard or coat. And such dramatic missing detail errors are sometimes highly valued, especially when they affect critical design elements. And if a 2012 D cent displayed missing portions of key motifs, That alone could excite collectors, but add on top of that a double die error where letters or features appear doubled due to die misalignment during preparation, and you begin to understand why a hypothetical perfect storm of mistakes could push a coin's perceived value to outrageous heights, because the blend of rarity, visual appeal, and historical intrigue is irresistible to numismatists, making this cent a fascinating topic for discussion even if no verified example has yet surfaced showing this combination of dramatic errors. But that doesn't stop collectors from dreaming, and dreams are part of what keeps the hobby energized, especially when people imagine looking through pocket change or coin jars and discovering something worth life-changing money. And the 2012 descent often enters these discussions because modern coins are so common and so trusted that people rarely examine them carefully, making the idea of a rare survivor slipping unnoticed into circulation even more thrilling. And then there's the idea of experimental strike pressure errors, where a coin might be struck far too lightly or far too heavily, causing the metal to expand oddly or fail to fill the design recesses correctly, leading to ghost-like images, overly flattened devices or distorted rims, and a dramatic understrike paired with a clipped planchette or incomplete blank could create a combination so unusual that collectors can hardly resist it. And as with all great coin stories, part of the fascination lies not in confirmed facts but in the possibilities, the what ifs, the rare chances and the excitement of imagining that somewhere, somehow, a coin with such unique attributes might exist, hidden away in a forgotten jar, unrecognized by someone who doesn't yet realize they're holding the most extraordinary 2012 cent ever produced, perhaps the kind of coin that would create headlines, spark bidding wars and achieve the type of unbelievable valuation, like the imaginative $130 million, that transforms an ordinary pocket piece into a legendary artifact of minting history. And as collectors continue to search, discuss, debate and dream about the possibilities surrounding modern errors, one truth remains clear: the thrill of discovery, the allure of rarity and the excitement of imagining extraordinary value are what make stories like the multi-million-dollar 2012 descent so captivating for anyone drawn to the mysterious world of rare coins.